Hey guys, day 4 of the horror challenge. I went through a bunch of movies today. A little bit tired. Let me line up what I got here. First up was Killer Clowns. This I've seen this numerous times. This is another film that grows on me. I like it more and more every time I watch it. But you got to be in the mood for it. It's a silly. And it's not really a comedy, but it's definitely black humor, dark humor. But the clowns, basically are from outer space, taking over a town and killing everybody through a series of strange, silly kind of things, like putting popcorn and throwing popcorn out, and the popcorn comes alive, and using boxing gloves to knock people's heads off and things like that. It's a fun movie, but you got to be in the mood for it, the right frame of mind to watch it. I believe this is an MGM release. I think I think Scream Factory, somebody's doing a special collector's edition of this, but I'm a fan, but not a huge fan of this movie, so I'm kind of content with this. This has an audio commentary and special features with the directors. The directors were 3 brothers. It was their one and only effort at making a movie. There's no back cover art with this. But yeah, I mean, this is a 7 out of 10. But again, you got to be in the right frame of mind to watch it. Next up is a personal favorite of mine, a guilty pleasure amongst so many other guilty pleasures, and that is Frankenstein and the Space Monster meets the Space Monster. I'm tired. Meets the Space Monster. This is just a load of fun. This film, people put this on the worst movies of all time. It just doesn't deserve to be on the worst movies of all time. In my opinion, the worst horror movie of all time was The Creeping Terror from 1961. That's where the carpet from space goes around swallowing people up. But that's an interesting film as well. And the backdrop to that film, the guy that was a director was a real shyster, but that's another story. But anyway, yeah, Creeping Terror, that gets the number 1 worst horror movie honors. This is a fun movie. Of course, I grew up with this, so I have a soft spot for it. But I mean, you've got a lot going on in 20 minutes, and I say 20 minutes because probably 40 minutes of this movie is just filler. Stock footage of military footage and things like that they threw in to fill in the film. There's only really 20-30 minutes of actual footage, but it is great footage. You've got Dr. Nadir, who looks to me like, I swear to God, I would not be surprised if Dr. Nadir was the inspiration for Austin Powers' Dr. Evil. I mean, he's this little guy with a skull cap on and pointy ears. And then you've got Mull, the monster from space. That's this huge, big, gorilla-looking guy. You've got James Karen, who played more famously in the Return of the Living Dead in an early role in this film. And you've got Crispin Glover's dad. Crispin Glover's dad is in this movie, and he apparently played one of the space creatures with the skull cap, and then he also doubled for Mull, the big monster. Frankenstein's nowhere to be found in this. Basically, it's a android that's sent up into Mars at the same time that these space people are looking for breeding stock from Mars. They're looking for breeding stock, and they're down here to steal women for breeding stock. Basically, a women from Mars type deal. But the monster is an android, and when the android gets shot by one of the space creatures, half his face comes off, and he looks like an early predecessor of RoboCop. So who knows? This movie may have inspired RoboCop and frickin' Austin Powers. I don't know. This is a classic movie, and they spent like $60,000 on it. Another interesting story about this film in particular is that the producers of this was a Phil and a Manny. And Phil and Manny lived off of 42nd Street in New York. The writers of this film never met Phil or Manny. They just conversed through audio tape. And they were paid pennies, $50 or something for this script or whatever it was to go make this movie. Finally, they said, we really want to meet Phil or Manny. And so they ended up taking a trip to 42nd Street at some dive movie theater. They were instructed to get a ticket, sit down, ask the usher for a Joe, and then they'd get further instructions. Joe comes along, says, well, you go up this stairwell in this alleyway, and you wait there, and you knock on the door, wait there, knock on the door, it's going to say Union Concrete Company. I mean, come on. Basically, this is mafia money. Any concrete or waste disposal, waste management in New York or New Jersey is mafia. And, of course, Phil and Manny are no longer around, but I suspect that somewhere along the lines, those same Phil and Manny's had something to do with Tobe Hooper and Texas Chainsaw. But, yeah, interesting story about the mafia underworld that went along with this film. I love this movie. 7 out of 10. Next up is an Arrow release of Contamination. Luigi Cosi directing. And our boy Ian McCulloch, I think, who was, of course, better known for working with Luci Fulci in the zombie movie. This is a stunning release, as is really everything with Arrow. I mean, it's a stunning release. The picture quality is incredible. Some back cover art. What can I say about it other than it's a Alien ripoff? Well, I won't say it's a ripoff. I think it's a homage. It's an Italian 1980 homage saluting Ridley Scott's Alien. And it takes it to extremes. You've got chest bursting. I can't get this in here. Chest bursting all over the place. Italian gore all over the place. A ridiculous storyline. And then you've got, in the end, you've got the main alien that's come down to take over and populate the Earth with these eggs that look obviously like the eggs from Alien. He looks like the monster from the Universal. It came from outer space. And apparently this thing was so ridiculous. It looked so bad. It couldn't move. I mean, it was just a static monster with one, just called the Cyclops, and it just sat there. And they had to do all kinds of strange edits and cuts to make it look halfway decent. But it's a great, hilarious cheese flick, 80s flick. This thing has got so many special features that it's going to have to wait till November. I'm mainly focused on, watching the movies, and then I'll work my way back through the special features in November or something. Next up, Alone in the Dark. I hated it. Christian Slater and Tara Reid are in this. I mean, if you like Sci-Fi Channel horror movies with bad CGI, this is your movie. It was so bad that the monsters have just crappy CGI. It really did look like the production values are. It just looks cheap. The characterizations are wooden. I will admit Tara Reid looked better. She was much younger in this. She looks really hard now, but she looked better than what she does today. struggle to get through this. This was a 3 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would put this in the category of I watched it, so you don't have to. It was, yeah, Sci-Fi Channel. It was like a poor man's Resident Evil. It was based on a video game, but I don't know what the video game's like. But this movie sucked. You know. Then I watched VHS, which was my second attempt to watch the VHS anthology, found footage anthology. I just don't. The shaky cam thing, I can't do it. It doesn't add to the suspense. You know, seeing a shaky cam and seeing static from the VHS camera going across the screen and blurry images, and it's just, to me, bad movie making, really. It doesn't do anything for me. I tried. I mean, it's not horrible, but I'm just not a fan. Then I watched something I really enjoyed, which was, this was the final movie of the day. This is the H.P. Lovecraft's From Beyond. This is the Umbrella release. Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator and Ken Foree from Dawn of the Dead are in this. I loved it. Carl Buechler, I think that's how you pronounce it, did the special effects. It's off the cuff gore. Obviously it's based on an H.P. Lovecraft story. I changed the artwork out. This is the other side of the artwork. There's the disc. Yeah, this is a Region B from Umbrella Entertainment. Highly recommended. Great story. Charles Band was associated with this film, and think what you will of Charles Band, this is a good movie. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the strength of the acting in Jeffrey Combs, but and the special effects were great. Story was moved along at a nice brisk pace. Essentially, this Jeffrey Combs and another doctor tapped into the pineal gland through a device that actually, there's spiritual elements to the pineal gland that result in creatures from beyond coming through the device and chewing off your head and then possessing the body of others. It's just off the wall gore. And I guess the only analogy that I could describe it, if you haven't seen it, to me it's very similar to this film, Society. It's just crazy, wild special effects and gore. I would say it bears a close resemblance to a movie like Society or Hellraiser 2. Maybe is another analogy. I loved it. 7 out of 10. So yeah. Anyway, it has a long day 4, but one turkey and the rest of them I really enjoyed. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it.